So disclaimer, this is the part 2 to the previous hacking episode. I'm Steve.
I'm Sean.
This is Acro Media's High Five. So today we're just continuing from our last talk about hacking. Just to start off, someone had asked if we could clarify a little bit on the social engineering part and how it impacts businesses. Sean, do you mind clarifying that a little bit?
Yeah, so it might have seemed like we were talking a little bit about social engineering towards hacking an individual, a personal account or something. Well, it can be used for that. Primarily how it's used is to get the information from someone within a business to get information or to get access to the whole business's site. So you would call in and try to persuade a customer service person or an IT person that you need access. Usually you would pretend to be, it works especially well with big companies, who would pretend to be someone from a different department who need, please give me access. I need to get into the back end. I got to change these products. We got a real strict timeline and I need to do these now. I'm going to get fired, and they come with a big sob story or something. And then the person, sort of feels pity and they start to help them out, and they don't realize that none of that's true and that person doesn't work at the company or anything. And so just conning your way into getting something. It's you're targeting an individual usually to get their account information, but the idea is to get administration or some sort of more powerful access to an entire company.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. Thanks for that. So where we ended last time was kind of how hacking doesn't work. But just kind of continuing on, one thing that you've mentioned to me before that I had no idea was that there's automated programs trying to hack sites all the time.
Yeah. So, and we don't want to freak you out about this, but all the sites we host people are trying to hack them all the time. It's not successful, and for the most part, it's rarely successful anywhere because it's very simplistic. They just take a bunch of usually there's hacking scripts that other people have made, and so people will just run them against sites, and they won't be very targeted at all. We would host mostly Drupal, and we'll get tons of hacking attempts for WordPress sites, which it's not going to be effective. They're not WordPress sites. It has no bearing, but they just try to hit as many things as possible. And so anything you have on the web, if you have a domain, people are grabbing that and they're using it and they're trying hacking attempts. They're probably trying basic logins too. They're going, admin and admin, is that your FTP information?
Probably.
Is it, Stephen, please go change your passwords. Hopeful disclaimer, none of the passwords mentioned on here are Steve's real passwords, although I do not guarantee that.
No, that's unfortunately fair.
Yeah, so a lot of that stuff they just try for really low-hanging fruit. If you have a really old site that you've never patched, or if you have, you use the default password still for something, your username and your password is the name of your company or something like that, they're going to try for that kind of, really simple stuff. And that happens all day, every day. Mm-hmm.
So the next kind of topic here, who are hackers? I anticipated this was just kind of any person with, developer knowledge could be a hacker. Is there different types of hackers or things that differentiate a hacker from one to the other?
Yeah. So there's even there's kind of 4 types of hackers, although, it's a bit vague. There's the first type they usually they call them white hat hackers, and they are hackers usually employed by a security company, and they are sort of the good guys.
Okay.
They try to hack sites, but on purpose and usually with the knowledge of the company they're trying to hack. So they specifically try to find the flaws so that they can be fixed before someone malicious finds them. Even oftentimes white hat hackers can be reformed. What are called black hat hackers, which are bad hackers, that hack people to, steal money or get access or do it more maliciously. They're oftentimes the most talented. So they're the good guys when your site is being hacked. It's not by one of them. The second type is they have what they call sort of gray hat hackers, which is if you're a little bit in between that. Usually they have sort of good intentions and they're trying to expose flaws in sites, but they're doing this without the knowledge of the company that they're hacking. Usually they will hack and then they will say, hey, there was this flaw. I didn't take anything, but here's the flaw. You should fix it, which is a bit of a gray area because they're still sort of committing crimes because they're hacking. They're not really stealing anything, but it's a bit questionable. People view it as sort of morally gray, hence the gray hat thing.
So then the last one is By process of elimination, black hat.
Yeah, and those are what you would think of as the traditional sort of movie hackers. They are trying to steal credit card information, get access to systems. They're doing it for criminal purposes. They're not just doing it to get access or something like that. They're doing it to hack and to steal things and stuff. Sometimes they turn into more morally upstanding hackers. Usually when they're usually younger, and then they move away from that. But they're the evil ones that you have to look out for, basically.
So which is the last hat?
So the fourth one doesn't actually have a hat. It's usually referred to as, they call them script kiddies and stuff like that. It's a derogatory term to make fun of them, but it basically means people who aren't one of those three types of hackers. They're not even really a hacker. They're just using some software that actual hackers have made, and they're just running the software. So they're trying to hack people and get access. So they're running a brute force password attacks, or they're doing those WordPress attacks to just look for security flaws. But they don't really know what they're doing. They're not clever enough to build the hacks and come up with the systems that work. They just downloaded them off somewhere in the internet and they're trying to run them. That's probably what most of the hacking that happens actually is just people doing that kind of stuff. They're not usually very successful. Occasionally they are, and they're sort of looked down upon as they don't really have any skill. They're both illegal, and then they're not innovating. They're not technically proficient.
Got it. How does one kind of become a hacker?
That's kind of difficult. Usually there are hacking forums and stuff like that online. You kind of usually have to get involved in the community a bit. The communities are usually based a lot on trust, kind of prove you're not a cop kind of thing or whatever, right? So you oftentimes they're built on exchanges of data and stuff like that. People will use things like a list of credit card numbers or lists of hacked data, email addresses, things like that, passwords, as somewhat like a currency. So the best way to sort of go in is to give up some information, sort of a trade. Say, here's something I've hacked, and then they'll let you into the bigger community, right? Or you can try to sort of go in and you have to sort of work your way in slowly to get into the better and better stuff. People might start off just running some really dumb scripts that they just found by Googling or something like that, and then they get into more forums and stuff like that. And these are things that aren't going to come up if you just Google them. But you have to know a guy kind of thing. Someone has to tell you, and then you get into the communities and they share exploits with each other and stuff.
Okay, so kind of like in terms of even looking at this could be in terms of more of a regular man kind of looking at this is undercover cop could kind of go in, and the people are used to people kind of they don't have trust with these people, so they're getting them to kind of prove they're not a cop, or getting them to prove that they're not against them.
And so oftentimes you might have to do a hack yourself or something like that, or you might have to do something that's illegal, or they just have to wait till you've built up cred in the community and stuff like that. I mean, there's no perfect way. I mean, obviously, the FBI or someone can pretend to do all those things, but that's how they do it to really get into it. And it's everyone uses pseudonyms and stuff. It's
pretty
like
bizarre,
that.
actually.
And it's
like a criminal underworld, but everyone's in a basement.
Yeah, and and sometimes it's not that, actually. Sometimes people turn out to work for big companies and things like that, right? And that's how they get access to various things and stuff. So they turned out to be, sometimes they're kids in their mom's basement, and sometimes they're middle-aged, IT executives and stuff like that. It can be a bit mix and match. And a big problem is they're all over the world too, so that makes it very hard. So the FBI tracks someone down. Well, it turns out they're hacking from Russia. The FBI can't really do anything about that. They can forward it on to the Russian government, but it makes it very difficult. Everyone's anonymous, and everyone is geographically spread out all over the world.
So kind of with the last major thing to cover today, though, different words and different things that have been tossed around. Things I've heard would be Drupalgeddon. I think last year we had Heartbleed. Is there anything that you can tell people about, the differences between platforms or the differences between these vulnerabilities that they should be aware about?
Not so much the differences. Basically, would just be those kind of vulnerabilities. Don't let those freak you out or keep you up at night. There's not really, as an individual store owner or anything like that, anything you can do about those. The people who make big technologies that run the internet, that's Google's problem, that's IBM's problem. It's not really your problem. All you want to do is, when these happen, you want to update your software as fast as possible, because usually they announce it and then they have a fix available almost immediately. And if you apply that fix right away, you're probably fine, because your window of vulnerability is very small. Who gets hacked are people who wait a year to apply that. And then all the scripts have been made and the hacking is happening over and over, and eventually you get hit. And so that's why. So those things, it's not so important that you can't really try to protect yourself against them in advance. You just have to react to them very quickly.
Got it. Anything else you want to add about this whole hacking thing, or is this pretty much sum it up?
That's pretty good. Just a little thing. One thing that I'll touch on, since I have the podium here,
Go for it.
is not everything can be hacked. Okay, not everything is on the internet. Like, not necessarily traffic lights aren't necessarily on the internet. Like, all kinds of bullshit like that.
where
It's
are
not like
they
the movies where
located?
you can just they might just be a closed system, like where you literally physically have to tap into the wires.
Wait. So I am pretty convinced that cops and ambulance drivers and all that have a button in their car that as they're going through the intersection, they click it. And then it turns.
It sends an infrared signal for the most part that just goes to the light. It's a closed system. It's not part of the internet.
So if you developed a
necessarily.
laser,
Yes,
seriously,
you
though.
can just have like that's all it is. It's like it does like a code from like an infrared frequency. And so like if they do it properly, it's done with like an encrypted key or something. So you'd hopefully need a system of keys or whatever, right?
So can you hack that?
Yeah, but you hack that by I hate you. You don't hack that over the internet, okay?
Oh,
you hack that by doing
I
something
see. Okay,
physically or whatever.
caveats.
Yeah, that's it. Like you have to physically access. Like when they show in the movies where someone just is like typing on a computer and then they change all the streetlights or something. Certain stuff like that might be accessed through system, but for the most part, that's crap. And a lot of this stuff is still you have to go and physically connect to something. You have to go there and you have to literally splice into the cables or make a hardware device that goes into there. You can't just do it over the internet. You can't do it from thousands of miles away or something. So.
Okay. Thanks for that.
You bastard.
So why don't you go ahead and subscribe and comment and ask any questions you have about hacking.
And follow us on Facebook and read our blog at acromedia.com.
All right, Sean and Steve, we are signing out.
Oh, you said my name.